Okay, so let's think about what comes to mind when you think of body image, and thinking maybe specific to our culture and our kind of Sikh Punjabi communities.
I mean, I think for me, like when I hear the word body image generally, I think about weight straight away. But when I reflect on that, it's actually more than weight, isn't it? It's like a lot about skin colour, our features, how they look, just the way we are really. And I think in Punjabi culture, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think, most girls are expected to be slim, trim, have like sharp features. If features don't look as like conform to kind of the norms, then people point it out, especially the idea, like they really like zoom in on that. I don't know what you guys think, but
yeah, I think I'm the same. Like I just go straight to like being fat. I know the word fat's like really controversial, but I feel like growing up, like all the time I was like just thinking, oh, I don't want to be too fat, don't want to be too slim. And also culturally, I think, like you said, that we're always like perceived and told, oh, don't eat too much because you need to be like a certain weight. And mostly it's always to go with marriage as well. So like you need to be slim, otherwise no one's going to marry you. And also, like you said, the colour of your skin as well. Like if you're fairer skinned, then you're more desirable to other people.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like going back to like marriage and stuff, I mean, I've heard it in like my family and extended family, like when people are looking at pictures for like family members and stuff. Oh, but she's a bit on the fat side. She's a bit more D. Her knock's a bit more dull or so on. And I think it's really bad because when you hear them speaking like that, and I've heard before, and obviously it doesn't come from a horrible place, not horrible people, but I suppose they're the things they've heard when they're growing up. So like I remember before I confronted, I think one of my aunties or moms, and I said, oh, but what if someone said that about me? Like they see my picture, how would you feel? So someone said that about me. You've got a daughter sitting at home, kind of thing, and you've got nieces, and yeah, didn't know what to say back, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's really interesting because only recently have I thought about this more, even though, like you guys say, it's so like ingrained in our culture and community. And like I've had, like my daughter's born, like there's some color comments, and even like when I was born, I think there was like, so there's a history of that, and it's just ridiculous really. But even like going back to like body image, I've had comments of, oh, I'm not eating enough and I've lost too much weight. And then it's been like, oh no, but you need to be healthy. Like, so what's the right weight? Like, I don't know if you can ever, well, I know you can't ever please everyone or anyone sometimes, that it's got to be about yourself. But I wonder like who we as a community, we're trying to emulate, like who are we trying to be? And, with the whole like Black Lives Matter stuff, I think actually we're trying to be gorgeous. To be pale, to be like thin. Like we have got wide hips. Most Sikh Punjabi women have got hips for a reason, like they're child rearing hips. And back in the day, like lots of the women, you didn't have baby carriers then, you held them on your hip. And I think that it serves a function, doesn't it? We've evolved in that way, or that's what I think anyway. So like I just think like when our auntie and our family members say these comments, I don't know if they realize actually they've been quite racist. All of this is quite like, there's this kind of need to be like the dominant culture, which is, most of the time it is white.
I think I've like even seen my grandma watching like Bollywood films and stuff, and even commenting on them, like on the dramas, and being like, oh, she's got a big nose, she's a bit fat, and then like she's just like sitting on the sofa critiquing. Yeah. And it's like, where does that come from? Because I'm scared as well, like Kieran, you mentioned, like if someone sees your photo and they're just going to think, oh my god, she's fat, she's got big cheeks. It's like, what is the like perfect look?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, your cheeks are beautiful, Katrina.
Like, how can you always try and please people, kind of thing? I think going back to what we were saying in terms of, some people say you're too skinny, you're too big, and so on. But I don't know, like for example, if I'm trying to cut back on food, like just to be healthier, but then when you'll be like, oh no, Horkala, why are you not eating for? Da, 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 da. Yeah. But then when I overeat, oh my gosh, you should watch yourself, why are you eating so much? Where's like, where do you win? Like, how can you ever win?
But I think it's because food is such a big part of like us and how we like welcome people. And so like not only do we have to eat this food, but we also have to be really thin whilst we eat this food, because it's rude not to eat it, but then to put on weight is also bad. So it's just like what you know, like how does this make any sense? And then even like with babies, like, you know, like it's all about fattening, like a fat baby is a cute baby. Like I've had this like idea in my head forever, and my daughter wasn't like fat actually, and I was like, oh my god, I've done something wrong, she's not like a chubby baby. But then like when does that change? Like, so chub them up and then no, make sure they're not like obese though, so that they have to grow up and you know, be mindful of their weight and stuff. So when do we change where we what we want, or how we want our children or babies to look like? When does that change? I just don't get it.
I suppose a lot of it would come down to us, wouldn't it? And I suppose trying to challenge those beliefs, and I suppose that is really hard, because when you do challenge elders, it can come across as like really disrespectful at times. And I suppose, yeah, I suppose be mindful about maybe how we word it or even say it. But you could say it in the nicest manner, the nicest way, and it can still be taken across as like, you know, talking back to your elders. So yeah, it is really difficult, isn't it?
I feel like when I was growing up, when I was like younger teenagers, I was just like, okay to everything. And now that I've gone older, and I'm like, what you're saying is so wrong. And people can like think, oh, I'm eating too much, then like might develop an eating disorder or something. And it's just like one backhanded comment that will make them develop their thinking differently. And I just feel like people don't take that into consideration. And also with medication, people might be on medication that makes them gain weight or like lose weight, they might have an illness, and like people just don't care about that. They'll just make like a comment, oh, she's fat, she's too skinny, I wonder what's happening in their family.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I worked in CAMS for a while actually, just for a short while, and I met someone who, like a young a girl, because often like it was girls, and she wasn't Indian, but like again it was just thinking about like who she was trying to be, like she was trying to be like Ariana Grande, and there was just no way that like Ariana Grande is quite small, isn't she? Like she's quite petite, and for this really tall, like muscular, you know, teenager, like it didn't make any sense. And I just think actually, I think our community, we're the same, you know, we're trying to be people that it just makes no sense, like culturally, ethnic, like ethnicity wise, like the history, like, you know, the DNA, all that stuff. It doesn't make any sense that we're trying to emulate people, that there's just no way that we, you know, you can be as thin as that, even if you try your hardest.
So true. And I think like thinking about representation in media and stuff, like if you think about Punjabi films, why is it always the slightly bigger person or the slightly chubby person made out to be the joker, or like the really funny person, but then like the skinny girl, the really slim girl is the, like, what do you call it, the main character, the main actress in the film. Yeah,
That's so true.
it's a big thing for like guys as well though, isn't it? And we don't talk about it as much. Mainly, like, I think when I think about body image originally, I think about like women and girls, but I think it's a big thing for like guys too, and it's not talked about enough, is it?
Yeah, I think for guys as well, if I'm thinking about guys, I think about like the bodybuilder type, like the pressure to be like a bodybuilder with big muscles.
That's what you see in the magazines, isn't it? Like the men's health magazines and the running magazines.
Even in the Bollywood movies, it's always like the muscular, like the big guys.
Yeah, and again, like the chubby one made out to be like the joker, and like in a sense an idiot, or like the one that, you know, just makes a mess of everything in the film. Yeah,
it's really interesting because I think like even kind of the world right now, like obesity is on the rise for all like kids and all like genders, and then if I relate it back to like Sikhi and the kind of life that we should be living, like everything in moderation, and I think about like you know, really like saintly people that I've met, actually they eat like 2 meals a day. They don't snack, they don't have any desire like I would to have chocolate or crisps or junk food. They're really happy with their 2 meals, and they might have a lot of butter in, but they're not overweight or anything like that, because actually everything's in moderation. And I think we just see food as so different, like Deliveroo, Uber Eats, you know, Just Eat, all of that stuff is, yeah, amazing as it is. It's just, I think it promotes greed. Like I'm like that. Like once I think I was like, oh, I'd really love a dessert. It was like 11 o'clock at night. This is pre-kid. And then like, so I ordered like some donuts or something ridiculous. I didn't need them. It doesn't help to eat at 11 o'clock in the evening. But it's just because it's just there, isn't it? We're lucky in that sense, but actually I don't know if it is helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Pre-kid, or like what I hear growing up now is like, I'll do that when you're married. When you're married, eat what you want, because then you'll have a husband, so then everything's perfectly fine. Obviously, I don't need to wait to have a partner to do it. To like learn how to cook, and it's like you're cooking for your husband. Like, I just don't get that mentality either.
Yeah, I think that's like, well, I always feel like it's because men like the kind of the hierarchy in our communities, like everything's done for them, isn't it? We should live our lives for them, or we should serve them. And it's not that it's like serving people is bad, but it's actually about like where our needs then are placed, and how important they are. But I think even like pregnancy, like, so, you know, going through having a baby and stuff, and like the weight loss, and I remember thinking, this is terrible, like is it fattest? I am fattest, I think. I don't know if that's a word, but I remember like post-pregnancy I was like, oh my god, my body, like I was just like, nothing fits. And I would try this pair of jeans on for like weeks, and I was like, why is it still not fitting? You know, I was so shocked, you know, because I you know, on an intellectual level, but my mom, as helpful as she was like, you'll be fine. When I had kids, it just went back in. The kid carried the weight. And I was like, that makes no sense. Like, actually makes no sense. But let's see what happens. And then once, I remember my brother came, he would love me for saying this, but I think it was a couple of weeks, maybe months after, and he's like, oh, he's pregnant. Like, you know, luckily I can take all of these things with a pinch of salt, but actually internally I think I was a bit like, oh my god, they've got such a long way to go. And I thought to myself, when I get back to my pre-baby weight, I hope I don't think I'm fat, because like it's just you know, you're like, it's so distorted. You just had a baby, like it's a massive thing that's happened. And again, on an intellectual level, I think I know that, but then I think, you know, on like a feeling level, it's just not very clear. So it's really hard. Like, even one of the psychiatrists at work, what I've learned is, do not comment on a woman's or a man's weight. Just don't do it. Like, even if they've lost weight, don't do it, because like, actually you could probably comment on it in a different way, like, oh, you look really healthy, or have you know, like if they've been talking about exercise or whatever. But one of the psychiatrists said to me, oh, okay, so you've lost weight. Oh, I thought, like, you know, Punjabi women, they normally eat like loads of butter and they don't lose weight. And I left thinking, why do people think that they can comment on my weight? You know, would they do that to a man? Would they do that to someone who just had an operation and then couldn't like be mobile and therefore put on weight? Do you know, like it just feels, was it that I had lost weight, so then I thought he could say that to me? It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think also, like, making comments about, oh, you've lost weight, people normally like assume that the person's going to take it as a compliment, but you could have been trying to put on weight, and then that's not taken into consideration. It's always like thinner's better, fatter's worse. But I know people really struggle with put on weight as well, so making a comment like, oh, you've lost loads of weight, you look really slim or something, could be really harmful to them.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the other day, a family member commented on my weight and said, oh, it looks like you've lost a bit of weight. And originally maybe I would have been a bit happy with that comment, but I don't know what it was, just something about that comment really irritated me. Even though I'm looking to lose weight and I want to get healthier, but I just don't know what it was about that comment. It just really annoyed me. Yeah, I think, and I did a bit of reflecting, and it did come around about, like, you know, that they don't need to comment on my weight regardless. If I am trying to lose weight anyway, that's up to me. Yeah, and they don't know how I feel about my body or if I'm at my goal weight yet, kind of thing. So yeah, definitely.
I think again, it's like the, you know, media, like what flashed in my mind as you were talking about that, Kieran, is you know, like I don't even read magazines anymore, but like you know, they had the before and after pictures and like the bikini bods and all that kind of stuff, and it was all like, wow, look what she's done, you know, look what she's achieved. Like Adele, I think it was recently that I was reading about, and she's had like massive change in her like body and things, and I just thought, well, if it, like, what if she had cancer or something? Like, what if there's something that went, like, that meant that she had no choice? You know, I know I don't think about these things often, you know, and sometimes quite automatically it will come out that, oh, you look like you've lost weight, and then I'll think like, oh, just, yeah, I didn't need to say that.
And like even on TikTok now, like I'll scroll through TikTok because absolutely TikTok, yeah. But literally every single video is a before and after of someone's weight journey, and I think it's fantastic that, you know, if someone was to put that out there, because it's something they're really proud of, and obviously it took a lot of hard work to get to where they are. I think we need to be a bit more mindful about who's watching as well, because it can really affect, I suppose, the audience.
Yeah, I've seen them on TikTok as well, and then like when I see like someone's lost 3 stone in lockdown, I'm like, oh my god, what have I been doing? I've just been sitting here eating, snacking 24/7 whilst I'm working at home. I'm like, oh, I should have done that. And it did, at the start it did impact me, and I used to think, oh, like I just should do like one home workout, but me being me, didn't. So I'm the same way as I was start of lockdown, which is fine.
And I suppose we never know other people's circumstances. Like they might have been furloughed, they might have had all the time in the world to do it, whereas you've been working as well, haven't you? So it can be difficult to obviously fit in working out if you're working full time, even if it's from home.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting that like when the after picture is always very like a tight fitting or a skin showing, and I just think, well, you're obviously really proud of what you've done, but again, like be mindful of what you're saying, that what you can only wear these clothes when you're really thin, or you know, it's okay then to show like a flat stomach, you know. So I think it's really important that people like you guys are saying are just a bit more aware of what that might mean to someone else.